Chad, you guys have done a lot of research on arrows the last year or however long it's been since you started this journey with arrows. Buck Slayer here, he asked about, he's asking, I think it's more of the chat, but I think it's a good conversation about what fixed blade heads we're shooting. And I think everybody kind of knows what me and Dan shoot. We shoot the G5 stuff, but have you like done much research on shooting single bevel, heavy heads, whatever, cut on contact, heavy heads out of compounds?
Yeah, we just did this a couple weeks ago into some ballistic gel, and not necessarily heavy heads, but more of a standard 100 grain all the way across the board type test. But there were some single bevels involved, all cut on contact, fixed blade heads, ranging anywhere from, a broadhead like tooth of the arrow, which is like a machined one piece, 4-blade, only an inch, cutting diameter, something really, really small. It's not very long, it's short, compact, to like the iron will vented, inch and an eighth or inch and a quarter head. That's like, I don't know, they're really expensive.
Yeah.
Made out of tool steel.
I think they're like $109 for 3 of them or something like that.
Yeah. So we've done a bunch of different testing, but when it comes to, in my opinion, from my research, mass is mass. Momentum comes from mass. So whether you have, a 500 grain arrow and 300 of it's up front, or a 500 grain arrow with 100 up front, you still have the same amount of mass. But what I would say is, I think that there's more value in having, if you're going to add mass up front through like inserts or a collar, in my opinion, you're probably better off leaving that weight in the broadhead, so your broadhead has more structural integrity, versus putting a 200 grain outsert or insert up front and then putting a 100 grain broadhead. Now, I know not all the heads have options. 100, 125 is pretty standard. But in my opinion, if I was going to shoot a high FOC build, I would have my weight in the broadhead, not in the collars, personally.
Yeah, my biggest problem with all that, I'm not going to call it a fad, but like the concept is, I think it gives people way too much confidence in being able to shoot through a shoulder or take some real hard quartering shot. It's like the way that stuff is presented to people is a little bit misleading to me. It's like, yeah, that's all fine and dandy and great, but like you still need to think about the animal and what you're actually trying to do. Because, I've hit a couple shoulder blades and not got through them with what I would consider a heavier setup. And it was honestly,
I don't know if you saw that argument I had with somebody on the line not too long ago, but the person was telling me that he shoots them all in the shoulder, shoots right through the shoulders. And I'm like, probably not a good idea with any arrow.
Yeah.
You have to aim for that spot,
Yeah. And I mean, there's no question it can be done and all that, but it's like sometimes it isn't done, though, like it all works until it doesn't. And
there's differences in deer too. I mean, you look at the deer that I shot last year, it was like 240, 250 dressed. That thing had shoulders on it. Like just getting through the shoulder without a shoulder blade would have been tough. It's not apples to apples if you're shooting a 90-pound doe versus a mature buck. It's great to have that FOC and get through that deer, but don't count on it. I mean, you still got to have good arrow placement.
Yeah.
Well, I think the biggest thing is just to know your setup, know its capabilities, and like what Josh said, at times being patient and waiting for the right shot angle is a hell of a lot better than spending the next day tracking a deer or having to call a dog and having those sleepless nights. Like, and we've all, like, I've done it. We've all done it. Like,
oh yeah.
Yeah. I'm a horrible shot, but because of that, and because I know that, I have to be more careful about waiting for the right opportunity.
Right.